Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on planet Earth. My name is Mathew Heggem. I am the founder and CEO of 10kcreators.com, and fortunately, an emerging and young Web3 leader, and I am super inspired and honored to be your panel moderator du jour. We have an amazing lineup of individuals who are with us today. I know as this young aspiring Web3 leader, I'm super excited to be the one asking all the questions, because really I get to ask the questions that I want to ask of all of these amazing people as I continue to build my business, and do that in collaboration with and in celebration of HeyLayer, an organization who I've had the opportunity to work with over the last 6 or 7 months. I started off as an intern because I asked Gary, I was like, Gary, I need to learn. And then soon thereafter had the opportunity to really start to learn a little bit more about what it means to lead strategy and develop opportunities in the space. I've since then entered into an artist in residency program and have had an amazing opportunity of minting and selling my first NFTs. So I'm super excited to be on this journey with you all. Now we have, again, an incredible lineup of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panelists today. So we've got a lot of insight and information that we can unlock, in essence, from the individuals who volunteered to be here today. And just as a reminder, we were intending on doing this on Twitter Spaces. Unfortunately, today, Ilan has caused a little bit of a fuss, and we're all suffering the consequences of his choices, which seems to be a recurring theme in our lives on some level. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right in, because again, we've got a lot of people here. And I want to really open up the conversation and give space for people to introduce themselves. So panelists, know I'm going to ask you, of course, to give a very brief summary of who you are and what you're doing in the world. But as you do, I'd like to also ask you maybe to respond to this question of how you got into the world of Web3. So if you can integrate that into your response so people can get grounded on who you are and where you come from, that will kick us off. And I'll just go down my list in the order that you occurred in the Zoom room. And so we're going to start with Jessica. Jessica, if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Matthew. I was told that this was a Twitter space, which is why I'm still wearing a robe and have not even started my day. But here we are on Zoom video call that's being recorded. Always a good time. Hi, I'm Jessica Greenwalt. I am the co-founder of Unum game, blockchain-based game that I'm working on with some pretty awesome people, including the artist behind the Avatar movie series, which is out now, so you can go check that out. I'm also creative director at Vayner3, the leading Web3 consultancy. It's a lot of fun. We get to work with the world's biggest brands and help them figure out how they want to enter the space or build upon their Web3 programs, which can include everything from NFT projects to metaverse activations to IRL experiences that have a Web3 component. It is never a dull moment over at the Vayner umbrella. How did I get into the space? I've been in tech for like 2 decades. So it was kind of like a natural progression of where things were going for a while now. So if you've been in the tech industry, a lot of folks were already kind of experimenting with crypto. I don't tend to get excited by things until there is a decent user base, because I'm a user experience researcher. There has to be people that I can experiment with, and usually decent number of people before it gets really exciting for me. So at the end of 2020, I had a feeling that things in the blockchain space were going to get more exciting, as in more people wanting to participate. And I decided I was not going to work with any companies that did not have some sort of blockchain component or were planning on releasing a Web3 strategy soon. And I just asked around my network to see who is the best person to learn from to really dive into the space. And I was connected to the founder of Fishport, a cybersecurity company in the space, which, always a good person to learn from. And he taught me everything. He was very generous with his time and would sit down for hours on end and answer my stupid questions, walk me through whatever process I wanted. Let me take that back, not stupid questions, because blockchain tech is ridiculous right now. The user experience was horrible at the beginning of all this. It still is. And then I worked with them to help design tools to keep crypto users safe online. And then we got recruited by a major exchange to work behind the scenes with them on their NFT initiatives. And then an anonymous friend of mine asked if I would meet an anonymous friend of his. And that anonymous friend, after I spoke with him, I got a call from the president of Vayner3 saying that her buddy, the guy I hopped on the video call with, some of you may know as Novo, told her that I needed to be on their team. And that's how I landed where I am now.
Got it. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you very much. Up next, Louise, would you mind coming on and introducing yourself?
Hello, my name is Louise. I'm mostly known for being the growth lead at the Stacks Foundation. So I was working on the protocol level for 4 years, and I've been crypto in 2016. I started a community member like everybody else. So I was a speculator, and for me, that's how I pushed my way in. It was Blockstack before, and they weren't hiring. So what I did was, I can remember, I sent a pitch deck to Patrick. Patrick was like the head of growth back then. I told him, oh, I'll help you grow your company. He's like, we're not hiring. I was like, it's fine. You don't need to pay me, Patrick. I'm just here to learn and, do some meetups for you, do design, whatever. So I was contributing left and right. And then 4 months later, they picked me up. And then by the end of my career, I was leading the infrastructure for the Stacks Foundation, all the infrastructure proposal. I was working with exchanges, token market making. I just like to learn things that I have no idea what's about it. So I tried to evolve my role from the community to growth. And now I'm delving a lot with the NFT space, which I'm learning a lot from as well, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, so by the end of my career at Stacks, we co-founded Rider. And Rider, in a nutshell, is a hardware wallet, but we try to position it as a social wallet where you can actually do one tap to save, swap, and recover assets. And that's it.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right. Next up in queue is Ileana. If you want to come on and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, hello. It's lovely to be here and see so many lovely faces. I'm Ileana. I originally or still do work in the influencer marketing space, a lot with content creators, kind of artists, celebrities, etc. And at the start of COVID or just before, I was trying to find a way to help a lot of the people that I was working with, a lot of artists and creators. I didn't like some of the problems that they were having, and I didn't really like the industry. And funnily enough, there's a person here called Louis that I've met a few times at a party who had been telling me that he was building the new internet. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I had this idea. I called this random tech dude that I've met a few times. And he was like, you're talking about a smart contract, like go and do some research. So I did my research, and funnily enough, we ended up on an island for 2 months together. And I was diving into like Web3 and NFTs and kind of how I could help others with this, and kind of started my journey there, and was kind of going like one of those crazy people, to these creators that I've worked with and had this relationship with, like, you really need to look into this. And everyone thought I'd become a scammer and I was trying to, ruin everyone's lives. So I've been working now as the NFT resident at Stacks for the last year, working on the Mintery, which is essentially a 30-day cohort to help artists, creators, or anyone that's trying to get into the space, and give them all the tools that they need to successfully launch their NFT collections, or of course just use that blockchain technology to help advance their projects that they're building now. So that's a little bit of background. So yeah, essentially helping support artists. And we have Mary here as well, who's been on the Mintery as well. So I'm sure she can share a little bit more. But thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Up next is Brian.
GM. How we doing? Thank you, Wade. And thank you, Ala, for having me. And really cool to meet everyone here. So what's everyone? My name is Brian. I'm a New York media and entertainment entrepreneur. I spent most of my career architecting production solutions for Central Park Summer Stage, Brooklyn Bowl, Jack Daniels, Universal Music. Today, I'm at the helm of Webstock, which is a live entertainment production consortium. We produce concerts, music festivals, and other meaningful and memorable experiences in real life all around the world that are doubled in the metaverse. All of our events are co-curated by NFT holders. And we also do blockchain secured career management and tooling solutions for artists and creators and brands. We're sort of looking at NFT and Web3 in terms of integration. We feel that there has been a lot of speculation and a lot of investment in infrastructure, which is obviously important, but we think that a widely overlooked segment within Web3 is the integration of music and art and technology in such a way that creates really good to gray business use cases. Also, I am an artist and a musician. I've worked with artists my whole life, ran a club in Brooklyn for many years, and really just obsessed with the power of this technology to make more equitable the chain of value across the creator ecosystem. And got into Web3. I minted the first concert recording as an NFT in 2021, and just got really obsessed with self-custodied assets and the implications that this would have for the music industry, the whole idea of digitally enshrined identity, as well as access management. So I truly believe it's the future of everything, similar to everyone here, and really just looking to spearhead the integration of the live music and entertainment industry within Web3, because it's kind of a no-brainer for adoption. You know, a lot of people, normal people, don't really understand how a blockchain works. They don't really care, but live music and entertainment is a no-brainer, and interactive art and entertainment, I think, can make Web3 a better place to be in, and vice versa. So that's what I'm really committed to, and it's great to be here with everyone.
Thank you, Brian, a man of my heart. I love the art and the intersection. So thank you. And another person that intersects with my world, happy to have you here, Pat. Come on down, my friend, and let's hear about some accounting.
What's happening, everybody? Great to be here. My name is Pat. I'm the CEO of Bitwave. Bitwave is a digital asset finance and accounting platform for companies that use crypto. So my passion in this space, like I love everything you guys have been talking about. I love blockchain gaming. I love NFTs. I got a bunch myself. All of that is my hobby. In our day job, we are here to enable digital assets for enterprises. So we spend all of our time thinking about, when Nike, Microsoft, all of the, Walmart start using crypto, what is that going to look like? What are all the things that they're going to need to be able to turn that into a really robust product? And so, I love talking about the Walmart use case, because they're going to be using crypto to settle supply chain demand, and they're going to be paying people. And at some point, there'll be a Walmart card that you can go into Walmart and pay your water bill with your Walmart coin. So we focus entirely on how do you enable digital assets for businesses. A big part of that is accounting and tax. So if you get crypto in revenue, so if you're an NFT creator and someone pays you crypto in revenue, we help you recognize that, get into your general ledger system, track it for gain loss purposes, for tax purposes, for accounting purposes, all of that good stuff there. I got into crypto in 2009. I have some code contributed to the Bitcoin Core node. I've been in this space a very, very long time. I'm a deep, I would say there was probably at a point in time when I was a little bit more, slightly more libertarian leanings than I do today. But that's probably what drew me into crypto a little bit, was the burn down the Fed kind of stuff. But at some point you kind of realize that if we didn't have any Fed, we'd have a lot of other problems to deal with before we'd have to worry about Bitcoin. So I sort of been moved away from that a little bit, but I got into it very early. I love crypto. It's really interesting. And it's been fun to see the progression from kind of, Bitcoin as the only thing to now all the smart contract platforms, the gaming platforms, everything. So it's a fun space to be in.
Thank you very much, Pat. Next up is Ilan.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can. You're good.
Okay. My name is Ilan Klein. I'm the founder of NFT Bridges. And we developed a way for users to move their NFTs from chain to chain. Right now, our bridge is working on testnet, and it can move NFTs between Stacks and Ethereum. We are starting to work on our next bridge, which will be between Ethereum, Stacks, and Asta, which is one of the EVMs. A bridge unlocks value that right now is locked within various NFT markets, blockchains, etc., by being able to move your NFT around and sell it or buy it where the pricing is favorable. We create a new arbitrage opportunities for NFT collectors and investors, and will enable markets and makers and collections to be sold out in a bigger volume and bigger velocity.
Cool. Thank you very much. Next up, and our final panelists going through introductions today, and then we'll kind of go back around and ask them questions about leadership. Kelli, over to you, my friend.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelli, and I am the founder of Token Square, and it's a community to onboard content creators and small businesses into the space. And I'm pretty much a newbie, started just last January with a Fateful podcast. And as a former financial advisor and small business owner, when I heard about Web3 and NFTs and social tokens, I thought this is something I need to pay attention to. And so I feel like I'm just kind of one step ahead of everything and just basically learning something new every day. So just trying to find my way in this world and kind of get the opinion of the little guy trying to figure this out, because I know that all of us, especially who are builders of great software platforms and great things within this space, they need to be able to communicate to the masses and to their customers. So I'm hoping to be a part of that, to onboard more people into this fun tech space.
Thank you, Kelli. Yes, please do onboard many people. We all would appreciate that. All right, so now we're going to shift into the primary theme of the conversation today, which is about leadership. And as many of you know, we're celebrating an anniversary here at HeyLayer, and really just standing in the excitement and the celebration of having accomplished what we've been able to accomplish over the year. And I just want to give a shout out to Marina, Ala, and Gary for all of their hard work getting this organization off the ground and doing some of the awesome things that they've done, including creating spaces like this where conversation gets to thrive around what it means to be in service of this industry and really leveraging the technology. And so I know each of you comes from different backgrounds. You have varying degrees of experience being in this space. From brand new to very seasoned, or however you want to frame that. But the question I have for you, and I'm going to kind of go back and start with you, Jessica, and work our way back down, is this question of what does it really take to be a great leader in the Web3 space? Again, what does it really take to be a great leader in the Web3 space? So I'm going to pass it over to you, Jessica, and then we'll go down the line. So Jessica, over to you.
I think it takes so many different ingredients. It applies to any leadership role, not just in the Web3 space. It translates. I would say empathy is a big one. Understanding how the people that you work with operate and meeting them where they're at and encouraging them to be their best, bring their best selves to the project that you're working on, because you can't do this alone. This Web3 is built on community. It's built on collaboration. So as a leader, you need to be able to inspire and encourage and harness the energy and expertise and excitement of other people. So I think that is the core leadership requirement for a Web3 project, but that could be in any project.
Agreed. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the skills are transferable. It doesn't necessarily matter whether or not you're Web3 or not. Empathy is important, right, as a leader of an organization and a community. Thank you, Jessica. Louise, what about you? What's your take on this question? What does it take to be a great leader in the Web3 space?
I think I want to build up from what Jessica said, because by the end of the day, Web3, like what she said, is powered by community. Protocols are powered by community. All of these NFT projects are powered by their own community. So I think empathy plus patience. So for me, when I was doing the community management for Stacks, you have to have a lot of patience, because you have these like speculators that goes into the project, and you need to actually educate them in order to turn them into a lifelong community member. And that requires empathy, and that requires a lot of patience as well. So those two things, I think, are vital as a founder. And then aside from the fact that it's a long-term game, I think one of the things I've learned recently, especially what we did for Rider, it's easy to get caught up with the crypto hypebeast culture, right? And we're so obsessed with this virus metric that's like ridiculous in like a normal world scenario. For example, I was a bit upset that Rider didn't perform as better that I would love it to perform. But in the end, by the end of the day, if you look at it, okay, we actually sold almost 50,000 within 2 days. In a normal scenario, that looks amazing. But then in a Web3 kind of scenario, it's not a sellout of an NFT collection. That means you're already like defeated. So for me, I think one of the best learnings as well is we as builders are here to unlock value, and we're always gonna opt in for long-term success. And we do the slow and steady approach, which I've realized now Muni did great.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. All right, next up, Ileana, your take on the question.
Yeah, I think as both have said, there's a lot of different kind of ingredients, but something that stands out to me that I've seen is openness. And I say this from a perspective that I work with a lot of different leaders, thought leaders, like specialists and people that have launched projects, people that help people. But to get to my point, what I see is the best kind of people in the space are the ones that are open and willing to give their time and to help people. I think it's a really special ingredient to have. And the most successful ones are the people that are there that will happy to have a conversation with you, or happy to go over something with you, or offer their time to artists or people in general, in comparison to when you look at more like, Web 2 projects, companies, people in general. So I'd say definitely openness and the collaboration aspect. Even people here, right? Everyone just like loves to give their time to meet new people, to share and to support. So I think it's amazing.
Thank you so much. Yes. All right, Brian, up next.
To be a leader, you need to have thick skin. And I think it's very important to operate with integrity. That means doing what you say you're going to do and when you say you're going to do it. This would avoid being labeled as the dreaded rug pull. So especially in this space, because everything is transparent, because everything's on this distributed ledger, it's very important to just be your word. And when you make commitments, you need to see them through. I certainly agree that empathy is very important. Also, always being on. You have to always be on. You have to always be ready. When you're managing communities, you are the steward of that community. Yeah, it's just really important to sort of always be on and always be attuned to what's happening within your community, so you can ensure not only that it's on brand, but that it's moving toward the set of goals that you and your team have established. And in terms of being a Web3 leader, I think the most important thing is to be building something real, is to be building something that is liquid and has value and has all the truest tenets of decentralization, of self-custodied assets, and more. So thick skin, being your word, building something real.
Nice. And I love that word, steward of the community. That's a beautifully selected word choice. All right, Pat, your turn, my friend.
I'm going to take a slightly different tack because you've gotten great coverage over people leadership in terms of empathy, community leadership in terms of transparency. I'm going to spend some time talking about product leadership, because that's sort of my passion in a lot of these ways, is that, crypto is a really interesting beast. And there are a lot of projects that perhaps don't need to be on crypto. They're on crypto. It's one of those things that we're still figuring out the space. If you ever have looked, there's this thing that Gartner publishes called the hype cycle, which it outlines the progression that new technologies go through. And we keep on hitting the bubble of the hype cycle in crypto, where we think that DAOs are the next big thing, and DAOs are great for certain particular purposes, but it's not a universal kind of like answer to every, like DAOs are not the universal answer to every single organizational problem we've ever had. Like, didn't like your boss, start a DAO. Like, that's not like, you still have, fundamentally, DAOs are still human beings that you're dealing with. Like, nothing changes. You are still dealing interpersonal conflicts, all that kind of stuff. DAOs are a new way of fundraising. They're a new way of structuring companies. They're a new way of being an international organization. But they don't make it that you don't have to talk to people. So I think that one of the important things that I would say in the Web3 space is that you really want to be thinking about the aligning the technology you're working on, the product you're working on, with the hard problem that we can solve. So blockchain as a general concept solves a very, very hard problem. I say blockchain, but Bitcoin, as it was written, solves this really hard problem of the Byzantine generals problem, which is a computer science problem that says, if I'm in a network with a bunch of people and we all don't trust each other, how do we actually still make meaningful steps forward in the world? How do we do things in a trustless network? And so that's what Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these things do, is they solve that problem. So it's kind of incumbent on you as a leader to think about, is the problem that I'm solving one that lends itself naturally to that, to programmable money, to trustless environments, to decentralization, or should I just be doing a database and a website and things like that? Like, am I moving the industry forward? Am I pushing the boundaries on this stuff from a technology perspective? And that gets back, it's some talk about user experience. It's a really important part of this. Like, we are in the crypto world are still very much beholden to very bad user experiences for onboarding and stuff like that. We're getting there slowly, but I can say that 10 years on in the space, like, it's still I'm still as nervous as ever when I send crypto to another wallet as I was the day one. And there's all these like things like that we haven't fully cracked it up.
I will fucking laser you with explode your fucking head. Up, I will fucking laser you with alien fucking explode.
All right.
So
aliens are
lasering people, man. That's my take on this, is that there's this product leadership aspect that we want to kind of you want to look at this product leadership aspect of, like, not just people, not just community, but how are you leading kind of us as Web3 and the products forward out of the space here.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, thank you. And that's called rated, I guess is what that was. So thank you, Liz. All right, just really quickly, Jessica, I believe that you have to leave early, if I'm not mistaken. So before we continue through the line, I just want to check in with you and verify that that is the case, and see if you had any final words before I know you had to slide off.
No, we're good. I moved some meetings.
Oh, good. Okay, fabulous. Then I'm going to continue.
Do I look like I'm ready to take on the world in this room right now? Like, this is my.
You are. I see the energy. So okay, but good. Thank you for moving those meetings. All right, so we're going to go on and continue. Thank you, Pat, for that. Ilan, what is your take on this same question? What does it take to be an effective or powerful leader in the Web3 space?
I think it's a really complex question, and the people here gave amazing answers, all of them. So I don't know that I can actually bring a lot of new things to the fray, but one thing that I can tell you is that I actually already shut down one blockchain endeavor and started another one. And as I was doing that, I had a community of more than 20,000 people who were waiting for things to happen, and they didn't happen, hence we closed the company. So it's like being a CEO of a public company where the stock is going down. You have to manage this whole thing, and you're not getting a public company CEO salary. You basically do it for free. So could be really challenging when things go wrong, and you got to be really, I think, true to the mission for it to succeed. And at the end of the day, we ended up doing a refund for the people who bought our NFTs, the NFT collection. As far as I know, we were the only collection that ever issued a refund. I mean, I wrote posts about it on Twitter from participants. We funded the writing of the smart contract and the whole mechanism to actually make sure that people will get paid. And I moved on. I actually figured out another problem that I'd like to solve, and hence the bridge that we built already. So I think definitely resilience is really important, and also the ability to stay true to the community if you built one, and make sure that even when you, for whatever reason, things do not go as you wish them to go, to actually be able to clean up everything as much as possible and continue to support the people who brought you there. And I think that's something that many other endeavors should look at, as not everything always go right.
Thank you, Ilan. Yeah, the best lessons come often, or frankly, through the failures, and it takes a lot of humility and courage to learn those lessons and to face your customers. So actually, that's a huge contribution. Thank you, Ilan. Kelli, what about you? What is your take on this question of qualities of a great leader coming into web?
I think that the first of all is to be consistent, just to always have that clear message and just be there, be consistent, so people can find you and answer, get answers to their questions. Honesty, I think, is really, really important. Own up to your mistakes, be honest about it. Connect with others and be aware of that there's always someone brand new entering the space. And so you might have to start again from starting with step one, but just be aware of everyone's different levels of understanding in this space, and know that, you might have to go back and start from the beginning to get these really good foundations set.
Cool. Thank you so much. So, one of the things that helps often is to have some inspiration, right? Some guidance, some people to look at, some examples to point towards as we enter any space or any new place of learning. And obviously, each one of you, for those of us listening today, are great resources and sources of inspiration. So for those of you listening today, please do check out all of these individuals' profiles on whatever platform they might be on. Check out their websites, of course. So literally learn about who they are and what they're about in the world. There's some very talented and amazing humans in this room today. But the question I have for my panelists as a follow-up is actually the question, the example for you. What is the example for you? The thing that you've seen in the Web3 space that maybe another company is doing, or maybe another leader that you admire is sort of carrying out in the world. I want to hear some stories of some examples of inspiration for you. And so, for sake of consistency, we're just going to follow the same format, go down the line. That seems to be working pretty well. So Jessica, we're going to start with you. Is there an example in the Web3 space that you can point towards and say, yeah, that's a really good example of a project or initiative that inspires me as a leader to keep going in this space?
I gotta hand it to Sappy Seals. They are the most active, engaged, welcoming Web3 community. I have like low-key had to test out a lot of communities, right, for research purposes, and nothing has the engagement of Sappy Seals. They immediately hop on board. Like if you let anyone know that you have a seal, it feels like the entire community comes out to just welcome you and say hi and make sure you're having a good time. And they have been able to harness that energy and activity to earlier this week, they launched a Seals for St. Jude campaign where they started applying the St. Jude Shine shirt to their seals. So if you tweeted at the bot, it would automatically apply that shirt to your PFP, your seal PFP. And then it got so popular, Twitter kicked it moments after they launched it. And the founder himself personally started replying to bot requests with people's seals wearing the St. Jude shirt. Like that's the level of dedication that I haven't seen anywhere else. These people are hardcore and I love them for it. So as far as examples of Web3 communities done really well, I gotta hand it to Sappy Seals. They inspire me every day.
Yeah, I love that dedication to the mission, to the extent that nobody's too big to take responsibility for responding. I really love that. Thank you so much. Louise, what about you? What are some example or an example that inspires you?
Yeah, one example, I think I'm going to give a shout out to the guys at Farcaster. So Farcaster is a product built by Stan Romero and Jeff Morris, if I'm not, I hope his name is right. The guy from Tinder and the guy from Coinbase. They built a product for identities. It's like I think one of the biggest social networks at the moment on Ethereum. But I think what they did great was just the entire strategy. So they focused on shipping products and features just like since day one, and they didn't really care about okay how many users do we have. They tried to make it more exclusive, that you have to send a message, for example, to Gary, and Gary will give you a code and let you into the application, because they want to beta test all the features first before they release it to public. So currently, if you go to Forecaster, it's like the riot of crypto. It's like the creme de la creme. You're invited if you're like one of the hottest things in town in crypto town, which I think is pretty cool. And the conversation is quite curated, so it's not as noisy as Twitter, because Twitter at the moment has a lot of noise when it comes to crypto. So the difference between Forecaster is it's just like really nice conversation that you can actually extract knowledge from. That's I think is super fascinating. And they did a 360 approach. They don't have a token. They implement the blockchain like super in a way that you don't feel it. You know, it feels like a normal social media app, but then with the added functionalities of you see what's a trending NFT, you see what I bought. And I think it was just really, really well done in terms of execution, implementation, and the growth strategy.
Thank you very much. Ileana, same question.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back and kind of maybe embarrass myself a little bit. Earlier this year, I think it was January or February. If you don't know them, Megapont, their Discord got hacked at the start of the year. And of course, everyone started to lose all their NFTs. And embarrassingly, I was one of the person that stupidly clicked that link and had my wallet emptied. But the point of the story is that the team was so quick, so fast at responding. They were able to kind of get everything locked straight away, updated the community. The community was really, really supportive and helping everyone. But the additional step was that they really quickly were able to give you all the relevant kind of links, ways to kind of help support yourself. But then on top of that, went and actually recovered all of those assets that were stolen and taken. So everyone was able to get back their NFTs. And even to the point that I think they bought a load of them back from that hacker and gave them back to the community for free, which of course you don't have to do. But that moment kind of really showed me how important it is to, you know, it's like kind of fight or flight, right? They had like 2 to 10 minutes to really figure out how they're going to salvage that and keep their community strong. And they did. And from that, like how they acted actually made me go afterwards and buy another NFT from their other collection, just because I was, super impressed and really wanted to be part of the community because of how they acted. So,
Thank you, Ileana. That reminds me of something you said, Brian, which you're next, but you brought up integrity. I mean, clearly that's a demonstration of an integrity there. Brian, what about you? What is an example that you look towards as inspiration?
Inspiration in this space, I think number one is Bitcoin. It started all of this. It's the most secure consensus mechanism ever built. Very inspired by Bored Apes and what they've built in terms of NFTs as community, the CryptoPunks and what they've built NFTs as fine art. Doodles have illustrated sort of NFTs as an entertainment brand, the Dippies NFTs as a lifestyle brand. And I would say I'm most inspired by all of the artists and creators within the web stock arts and entertainment ecosystem. So we work with Violetta Zeroni, Sammy Arriaga, Ray Isla, Famous Dill, Emma Miller, Taylor Alexander, Spotty Wi-Fi. These are artists who are truly defining and leading what this technology can do in terms of supporting artists and making more equitable the creator ecosystem. So I'm very inspired by all of the artists that we are absolutely blessed to work with, and visual art as well. Gabe Weiss, it's absolutely incredible what he's built with the Stoics, Warhodl and the Soup Cans, Manny Lynx, and just independent artists who have cracked the code on how to use this technology is really, really inspiring.
Thank you very much. Pat, same question. What has inspired you?
It's such an interesting question because I was thinking through, like, if I'd answered this question a year ago, I probably would have said something like Elon Musk. Like, I actually always respected Elon Musk a lot. Like, it's a really interesting way to look at the, I always thought he would create this vision in his mind and kind of go after it, kind of regardless of anything else. But now we sort of realize he's I don't know, I won't get into that piece of it, but my answer is no longer Elon Musk, as it might have been a year ago. But it is interesting because I think about a lot of the last 6 to 12 months have actually shown a lot of cracks in a lot of different leaders. I was really impressed with Twitter, with Arguella and Twitter looking to get into Web3. Like when Twitter first announced the NFT profile picture, I thought they were one of the first Web2 companies that kind of leaned into that. And I was actually at the time was very impressed with that because it was a big step. They didn't do it perfectly. They could have done a lot better, but it still was like, it was very forward looking and that kind of stuff. But even now, like after the way they handled the Twitter sale, he's not really my answer anymore either. It's an interesting time in kind of the more enterprise level kind of space here, because like Jack Dorsey's another person that I always have had a lot of respect for. He's sort of gone full bore Bitcoin maxi, which is it's very interesting. Like it's kind of a weird perspective to take at this time when you see all the incredible things that are happening across all the different blockchains. It's weird to still be a Bitcoin maxi. It's not the end of the world. Like people can have different opinions. That's all cool, but there is interesting stuff like that. So I really like, someone mentioned the Bored Ape folks. I love the Bored Ape guys. It's a great company. They do good stuff. They really understood what they were building. Like they weren't just publishing profile pictures. They were building a community, and they're building the metaverse, and they're building gaming, and they're building, music videos and restaurants. Like it's this idea of like actually really taking that IP and turning it into something really interesting. So I love what they're doing in the space here. But yeah, it's been an interesting 12 months for respect in the space here.
Good point, Pat. Thank you. Ilan, same question.
Sorry. So again, I think that one of the best leadership traits that I was able to look at last year was probably the way that Ethereum was actually able to fight when Ethereum moved to the consensus mechanism. There was a huge amount of terrible press for it, and people were actually, I think, making a lot of money just by saying stuff about them, and they did not react, almost did not react. You could see how the thing tightens and tightens and tightens, and there were more and more and more people who were doing that, and they just did the work. They shut up, did the work. At the end, it went, I believe, flawlessly or almost flawlessly, and everybody who doubted them had to kind of bite their tongue and say sorry, even if they didn't really say that. So to me, this was like an expression of a really tight group of people, even though it was distributed, even though it was global, even though it was huge or whatever, that were really focused on doing something without letting distractions disturb that. And that's something that's really, really hard to do. I wish that Sachs would have the same experience if they decide ever, meaning that they would focus on doing stuff and not talking about, I would say, chain politics when they have to do a big project, which I'm sure that they will still have many of those others to do. I think at one time, I think I read somebody who spoke about the actual transition. He said it's like changing an engine of a car while it's driving, and it's still driving. Like nothing changed, no blocks disappeared, everything went right. So that's something that I think we should all aspire to, in a way, to actually go for execution, go to be able to do the right thing and execute successfully on it.
Thank you, Ilan. Kelli, same question.
I am just inspired by people who can just build amazing things. I'm just really inspired by it. I wish I could code. I really do. But I'm also inspired by all of the great writers that are writing in the space and giving my inbox is just crazy with fantastic writers who are explaining what's going on with the space and giving out ideas. There's Web3 Academy, which has been a really great resource for me, podcasters and such. So all of those people are really inspiring. But most of all, the most inspiring person is Mathew, right? Mathew, you're inspiring and helped me a lot.
Oh boy.
Yes,
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Kelli. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. All right, Kelli, did you have anything else to share, or are you complete on that? I'll take me as the example. Yeah, I love you. All right, so now we're going to go in reverse order. And here's the thing: we've got about 12 minutes until the top of the hour, and so I want to give some space to the founders of HeyLayer to share some of the things that we have in stock for you as resources. But before we do, I'm going to go in reverse order, and I would love for each one of you to share. Maybe that one resource that you've gone to on your journey, something that you would offer as like a, hey, for those of you who are entering in the Web3 space and not quite sure what to do, where to go, how to navigate, here's a person, here's a podcast, here's a name, let's share some resources. And Kelli, we're going to start with you and then work our way back through the circle. Kelli, go for it. What's your number one resource?
I would say if in this group right now, Gary's helped me answered so many questions early on. So Gary's a great resource.
I would agree with you 1000% on that one. Ilan, what's your number one resource for people?
You know, there is a really good podcast. I don't know if it's my number one resource, but I actually find myself listening to it every week. And it's called Unchained. It's an excellent podcast. They bring real experts to the table and they discuss various things. And many times, I mean, the space is moving so quickly that many times when you look at all podcasts, it's amazing. About less than 8 weeks ago, they did an SBF podcast and it looked amazing. And then we see what happened. And a little before that, they interviewed a CTO of a bridge company, a token bridge company, and they claimed to be the safest one on Web 3.0. A week later, they were hacked and lost $100 million from the bridge. So it just kind of, somehow they managed to be where the action is, and maybe even by accident. So it's interesting and I recommend it.
Thank you, Ilan. Pat, what about you? Resource.
So by the way, I want to re-answer the previous question also, because it's crazy that none of us said Vitalik. Like, he's been an amazing leader through everything that's been happening in the crypto world. He's just like he's quiet. He's sort of like the epitome of speak softly and carry a big stick. He just is super quiet, super dedicated, super like shows up every day, does great conversations, but never gets political. Just stays on like the day-to-day of all this kind of stuff. Bankless is great. I am personally, I'm privy because I'm an engineer. I love getting into the code on this stuff. So if you see a cool project that you like, it's always fun to go and open up the GitLab project. It's one of the great parts about Web3 is that everything's open source, everything is viewable. So it's so much fun to like, if you like what Yuga's doing, and go look at the repos and see what they're doing. It's always fun to get into the code on this stuff. That's my favorite place to learn.
Word, I appreciate that. I love that too. All right, next up, Brian, your resource for folks.
Definitely just connecting with other builders in the space, having calls like this with the community. Some groups on Discord. Skylab is one that I like a lot. Jordan Lidell's group. It's an incredible community of investors and builders. I really like NFT Now, Matt Medved and everything that they're doing. And also the conferences. I mean, I love going, NFT NYC and NFT LA and Web Expo in Vegas and ETH Denver. those are great places to really see this this emerging business vertical kind of living and breathing in real life. So it's really exciting to get out there and just connecting with fellow builders and having conversations like this.
Thank you, Brian. Ileana, same question, resources.
Make it quick. I always say as a joke, best person to go to is always Louise. I say that the day that I can bring value to Louise is the day that I've succeeded in Web3 because I learned so much from him. And I would say for artists or anyone trying to get involved, a little shill, but check out Mintry.co. We basically work with all these different amazing thought leaders across all different chains, and we compile all of the sessions, and we have that there so you can really walk through it from 0 to 1 to learning about the fundamentals all the way through to minting your collection. So I'm always happy to share that with anyone and everyone.
All right, thank you very much. Louis, since you're a resource, come on down, my friend, share. What is the resource that you refer to?
You guys are too kind. I mean, yeah, I always say we kill them with kindness, like Harry Styles. Anyway, not to derail, but in terms of resources, for me, I always learn best when I talk to people who's doing a different thing than me. So for example, when I talk to Ala, she does different things than me as well. So I learn from Ala, same as like Ileana. So I think just talking to people that is in a different vertical than yours. Also Jessica, she's doing Web3 strategy with brands. That's like a space that I don't have zero clue what's going on. But if you want to learn those things and the vertical that they're expert at, just talk to them, reach out on Twitter. I think what's the best in Web3, everybody's down to talk and down to like learn from each other. And I think that's what attracted me in space in the first place as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the openness of people in the space. Thank you. And last, though not least, Jessica, what is the resource that you recommend for people?
Satellite events. I honestly sometimes avoid the main event, like whatever the main conference event is. Like I'll be in the city for whatever's going on, but I tend to go to the more intimate, more targeted, more specific events that are happening around that experience. So if there's like a immersive art activation, I'm there. If my friends are putting on something like doing a gallery or bringing artists together, I'm there. And those events are huge for me because a big part of my job is knowing what artists are out there, on who's great to collaborate, seeing what cool creative ideas people are coming up with now so that I can recommend them as great collaboration partners for these brands, for these like really cool campaigns that we have coming up. So those are my favorite. And like they're generally one of those things where you just got to reach out to some people on Twitter, explain your interest in the space, and then you'll get an invite, and then you'll meet a bunch of cool people who are actually building in the space. I like being where the builders are.
Word. Thank you, Jessica. All right, so we have all but 5 minutes, and I want to just give a huge thank you to all of our panelists here today. You took the time to be with us, an expression of generosity, which I think is one of the attributes of the Web3 community, the giving, the sharing, the helping to lift each other up. So again, thank you for being here. Now, as we wrap up, I want to go over to our lovely founders of HeyLayer and get some feedback from them on maybe what resources HeyLayer has to offer. And so I'm going to pick on, who do I want to pick on first? I think I'll pick on Marina. Marina, do you want to share a little bit about what we're doing in terms of the lessons and such that are coming up?
Hi everyone, super excited, inspired. It's like that's why we're here. HeyLayer is here. I'm here because of people. You know, we all went through a lot of interesting times last year, and every time I personally got energy and power from community. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk more about it, about specifically us entering into space of education, because I think what we discovered is we've built great technology and it's a huge accomplishment. And Kelli, I want to tell you, we need you. Yes, there are amazing things people can do who can code, but they code, but then nobody uses it, right? So we need to educate people. We need to bring them in, right? We need to build bridges, right? So we'll talk about, and Ilan, absolutely excited for what you're doing, so forward thinking. And for this specifically thing, I want to share, and Gary will share with you, we have a full-on educational program created for 2023. I'll talk more about it in the next hour, so please join us for the next one. But if here is anybody in the space, specifically right now in the chat, you feel like you're just at the beginning of your Web3 journey, Gary created, and you also, everybody loves Gary. He created an amazing free course. It's very engaging, it's simple. If you want to go and understand like one-on-one blockchain, beginning of everything. Gary, do you want to share the link with everyone? So if anybody wants to take it, it's available to you.
Yeah, so we can share it now, or we could share it in the next. I don't mind either way. But it's a little bit of a alpha, if you will, because so you know what we'll do. Why don't we go through the next thing, because I think it's going to be it's going to tie in very well, and I'd rather kind of do that.
Okay, so there's a secret course.
Yeah,
everybody will have a everybody will get a link if you join for the next hour. So yeah, but again, so I think if anybody's here is interested in education that's coming up in 2023 and for HeyLayer, for our community and for newcomers. Gary, anything you want to share from your end?
Yeah, I mean, I think like to wrap up this hour, you know, it's super humbling to be in this space. You know, we came in and we sort of like came in hard with some very hard-hitting assumptions, and also, you know, for example, you know, allowing credit cards on a Stacks blockchain that ties to Bitcoin is very aggressive, and you know, it's almost idealistic in a way. And I think like that battle between what you want to see in the world, because blockchain can solve so much, versus what people are ready for, or maybe what people want to see. There's always that friction. And so like, I'm just humbled, because at the end of the day, this is what's important, is like, actually, like, to me, this is community, right? And that's the other thing is I'm always sort of like my friction is against like, well, community, how do we define that? You know, there's like this community that Web3 wants you to have, but maybe not everyone's ready for that type of community. You know, maybe it's too salesy. I mean, my younger brother, he's 10 years younger. He fell into the rabbit hole, and, you know, he like couldn't sleep for a while because he was on Discord and he was worried, like he didn't want to miss like that next alpha drop. And I'm just not sure if that's healthy, or if it's the future, or if it even makes sense to have art around like so tied to its value that everyone, like, he used to share stories where like somebody would make one mistake, almost like that Megapont conversation, and everybody would just leave the Discord, call them liars. And so this is something that someone would take, you know, years to build up to just be essentially forgot about. Now, that's not to say rug pulls aren't bad. They're insanely bad, and they're the worst thing. And that's why we keep fighting on. But yeah, I just like wrote down that I'm extremely humbled, and just being able to move forward in the face of maybe like what we think is here versus what may not be here. And, you know, I'm more of like a futurist. So like what I see in what I think will evolve in the decade, I kind of want to happen now, but we're here, you know, to kind of keep it moving. So I think that's essentially why we're here. And I know there's amazing people that are with us today that are also helping have that happen, make that happen. So I'm excited to kind of do all this together with everybody.